Welcome to Larry's Library. This week, I'm taking a look at Descenders, Volume 1 and 2, the Deluxe Edition hardcovers. And let's get right into it. So, these are the Image oversized hardcover format, one of my favorite formats. Just beautiful, beautiful presentations with these. Volume 1 is 400 pages. The retail on this is $49.99, but you're a chump if you pay that. At InStockTrades.com, as of the time of this shooting, it's like $22.49, depending on if you have the 2% loyalty discount, which I recommend you do that. If you buy week to week, you get an extra 2% off. So Volume 2 has a little bit, it's a little thicker. It has 424 pages at the same price point. Now, like I said, the binding on these are terrific. The build quality is great. The only thing I could complain about with mine is the cover of Volume 2 for mine, the black cover, had some little white speckles. I guess it almost looks like paint overspray, and it just little dots, and it probably wouldn't even bother most people, but it drove me insane. So I had to take my fingernail and scratch them off, and then they would just scratch right off, but then it would make a little scoring line in the black. A black cover is hard sometimes as far as forgiveness. So there's that, but not a huge deal. The creators on this one is the phenomenal and highly prolific Jeff Lemire on writing, and art by Dustin Nguyen. Now, he is a fan favorite, and I have loved Dustin Nguyen's art for a long, long time, but I don't think I had ever read any of his interior work. I had never seen any of his interior work. I had seen just dozens and dozens of cover work by Dustin Nguyen, and it was always phenomenal, and I always loved it. So I was always looking forward to seeing his interior work, and I got to with Descender. So the contents here is Volume 1 collects issues 1 through 16 of the single issue comic book. Volume 2 picks up there and covers 17 through 32, which is the conclusion of this story. Sort of. More on that. So this is the story of a little boy named Andy who is living on I think it's a moon. It's a mining planet. It's a mining colony he's living in. And he is not making friends very well, and he's not playing with the other kids in the colony. So his mom orders him a TIM-21. Now, a TIM-21 is a brand new thing to market. And I should say this story is a high-flying sci-fi, high-concept science fiction. It's set in another universe in what would be the far-flung future for us, technologically, of course. Anyway, back to TIM-21. So a TIM-21 is this brand new model android, companion bot, they called it, and it looks like a little boy. It's just like a cute little boy, about the same age as Andy at the time. And it's very, very lifelike. It has a very advanced AI. It has seemingly has emotions, and it can learn, and it just acts like a regular little kid. But you don't feed it. You recharge it, and it is considered a companion bot. So Andy takes to TIM-21 right away, and they bond, and they consider themselves brothers. And a lot happens on that moon, or planetoid, whatever it is, in the mining colony. Some tragedy happens, and they end up separated. And I'm not going to spoil the plot much further than that. But in this world, and there's some serious world building done here by Jeff Lemire, we learn that there are many, many robots, all kinds of robots in all kinds of shapes, and they're basically used as servants. They're used as you might call them slaves. And they're all created by this one company, I believe, or companies mimicking that company. I don't know. It's a little unclear. He doesn't go into super detail on that. But one man named Nguyen, or Quan, Q-U-O-N, I believe was the spelling. But at any rate, he advanced the robots to a degree, and I think he invented the first android. Before that, all the robots just looked like robots. They were metallic and clunky. They did not mimic humans as far as their look. But at any rate, what he also did, he brought this advancement on to robotics to where they have a sentient nature, they can learn, a very advanced AI, emotions, the whole 9 yards. Effectively, they are equal to humanity in many ways, but they're never treated as such. And therein lies the problem. And this plot is propelled by this chain of events, and it sucks you right in, and you won't be able to wait to turn the page, and you will have to know what happens. You will want to know, and I tell you, I've liked Jeff Lemire for some time, but my daughter, who's probably the biggest Jeff Lemire fan on the planet, she may be surprised to learn that with this book, I now consider Jeff Lemire in my top tier of writers, comic book writers of all time. I mean, the work he's done here is just absolutely fantastic. High concept science fiction, like I said. I might even say that this would qualify as hard sci-fi in many people's view. I think it would. Meaning, it's some advanced stuff. It really is. One thing I want to mention too, before I forget, is these giant robots at one point appear and wreak havoc on humanity. And these robots are not the creation of the company that we already know. These are seemingly alien robots appear, and they're enormous. They're very, very large. They remind me, and they are the same size as the Celestial robots from the Marvel Universe, Jack Kirby's Celestials. And I think that was a pretty good kind of a tip of the hat from Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen here, if you will. And it's certainly what it reminded me of as soon as I see them. And they call them harvesters. And they basically laid waste to a bunch of the planets in this galactic council. I forgot to tell you, there's a galactic council, much like the Federation in Star Trek. And it's about 8 or 9 planets, a handful of planets, and they've all loosely decided not to be at war with one another, and loosely, very precarious alignment with some of them, you'll see in the story. But these harvesters appear and just do some serious damage. They don't wipe out humanity, but they certainly take a chunk out, and they destroy much of the worlds of the UGC, the United Galactic Council, I believe is what it's called. Anyway, that is part of this phenomenal, just incredible plot that goes along at a pretty good pace too. You won't be waiting around for things to develop. They're going to happen. And this really does have it all. It has a lot of morality plays going on here. There's artificial intelligence and robotics. And what does that mean for us going forward? And what does it mean for this world? If you have something that can feel emotions and can learn and is self-aware, should it not be granted the same rights as humanity? These are problems we're going to have to face. Maybe not in my lifetime, but definitely in the future. And you get to see it play out here in this space opera, and it's a real joy. It is fabulous. I highly recommend this to anybody that likes science fiction, for sure. Now, I would give this an 8 out of 10, easily. I would go much higher, but I got some issues with the art. I sort of have a love-hate with Dustin Nguyen's art here. I love all of the covers. I love most of the larger images, and I love a lot of individual panels. But every so often, more so I think in book 1 than in book 2. Not sure why that is, but maybe he got better as he went, probably. But at times, it feels sort of rushed. And, this has a watercolor painted look to it. I don't know if he actually did use watercolors or if it's some sort of digital thing. It could be digital, not sure about that. It certainly looks like watercolors. Beautiful at times. But at other times, it looks very sparse. Sort of rushed. And I'll try to show some examples of it. And this may not bother, a lot of people, but I'm an art first kind of guy, and this really bothered me because I see that the panels he did really good on, he put a lot of detail into, and they're just breathtaking and gorgeous. And then others, it's very, very sketchy and loose to the point where it almost looks like what they used to call layouts. In some of the old credit boxes in much of the comic books I grew up reading, it would say layouts by this guy and inks by this guy. And when it said layouts, what that meant was the guy just did very rough thumbnail sketches. And then the inker came in and did the other, huge percentage of that art was finished. You'd have a breakdown artist and a finisher, which often they are synonymous with the terms penciler and inker, but not always. Usually when I see pencils, I think of a little bit more drawn out and more details done by the penciler, and then the inker just kind of darkens the lines, more or less. But when I see breakdowns and finishes, or layouts and finishes, then I'm thinking the inker here did more of the work. Point is, the reason I'm going through all this is because what some of these problematic panels, if you will, in this story looks to me like is they look like breakdowns that they forgot to go back in and finish. That's how very rough and loose some of it is. And to me, it just looks like it looks messy and it looks unfinished. And that really stopped me from getting 100% behind this and giving this a 10 out of 10. Especially when you see the panels where he does finish it. And man, it is beautiful, beautiful work here. So that is my only caveat here. And so I give both of these books 8 out of 10, and I totally recommend them. I just wish that the great panels were throughout, and I had less of those loose panels. But yeah, I consider this an important comic book work, just because of the issues that it examines about robotics and about rights and about equal rights for everyone in all species. And so, yeah, I think it's an important work, and it's definitely worth your time. And if you like the big, beautiful hardcovers, the nice presentations, get it in these formats while you can. They have been, I think this is the second round of printing for these, so they should be around for a little while, I think, hopefully. So yeah, pick these up if you're at all interested. Yeah, the story is awesome. It really is. And the art is mostly really good. So yeah, that's all I got this week. And like I said, I give this 8 out of 10 easily. So pick it up. And thanks for watching. And I will see you next week, if not sooner, where I will do Ascender. The real sort of conclusion to the story is in a third volume called Ascender. So be sure to check that out. And I'll see you next time.